Among the assertive nationalists, the trio of Lal Balpal were, the people who led INC to a path of the growing national movement. Lala Lajpat Rai, Balgangada Tilak, and Bipin Chandra Pal became the face of the growing assertive nationalism in the country at that time. So, what exactly were their contributions and how did they lead INC, Indian National Congress, into growing this national movement and making it a mass movement is something that we need to look at. Balgangada Tilak, who was one of the leading assertive nationalists of the country, was also the person who primarily stated about the fact that India should, orient itself towards gaining Swarajya. The basic idea of gaining self-reliance and to achieve self-governance, Balgangada Tilak was somebody who inculcated in the Indian people self-confidence, and he also expected the people to no more beg for Swarajya, for the independence that was long due for the Indians. So the famous line that Balgangada Tilak stated was that Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. As you can see in the picture, this is one of the famous pictures where Balgangada Tilak is advocating for himself in front of an all-British jury. And here he said his famous quote, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. So he was somebody, in fact, who could see eye to eye with the British and could get on a debacle with them. Often known as the father of Indian unrest, we see Balgangada Tilak as the leading proponent for assertive nationalism in India. So let's look at the contributions of Tilak. Balgangada Tilak, who is known as the father of Indian unrest, not only inculcated in the people, in Indian people, the idea of self-confidence, the idea that, Europeans were not invincible, was also something that Tilak worked upon. So we see he is the first nationalist leader to include the masses in the national movement, something that the early nationalists had failed to do. Tilak understood that with the support of the masses, with the voice of the masses, the national movement could become bigger, wider, and much more vigorous. So we see that he taught young nationalists to not beg to British but snatch away their own rights, because as we saw that Tilak stated that Swaraj, self-governance, is the birthright and Indians are entitled to have it. So they did not have to beg in front of the British for the same. Now, enhanced self-confidence in people with inspiring talks and helped develop self-defense by opening Lathi clubs and akhadas. Now, the Lathi clubs and akhadas were not only to, garner the idea of self-defense, but also to instill in people that confidence that, they could take up a fight with the British, and also to organize the youth in a way where their power could be accumulated in the national movement. So, Balgangada Tilak believed in, mass-generated, organized events. And he was somebody who brought in the concept of, festivities, arranging the festivities like that of the Ganapati festival, like also, included the birthday of Shivaji. So celebrating these days gave the Indian people a sense of belonging, a sense of pride that they belonged to an India that had such golden pasts. And not only was the past really filled with stories of martyrdom, but it was also filled with, aspects of great culture. So we see that he infused nationalist sentiments among people by organizing Shivaji and Ganapati festivals, which became, quite common in Maharashtra at that point of time. So we also see that Tilak, to voice his nationalistic opinions, started to bring out newspapers that would organize and write about these nationalist sentiments, and also showcase whatever was happening in the country. So the two famous papers that he brought out was Maratha and Kesari. These were the newspapers Balgangada Tilak was associated with. So Maratha was an English paper and Kesari was a Hindi paper, primarily that at that point of time became really famous in Maharashtra. Tilak was also the writer of two books known as Gita Rahasya and The Arctic Home in the Vedas. So we see that Balgangada Tilak not only helped people to come out and join the mass movements, but also he was the one who made the nationalist movement appeal to the masses so that it becomes a mass movement. Quickly looking into the contributions of Tilak, he was the one who established the Home Rule League at Pune in 1916 for streamlining the efforts towards attaining self-governance, which he stated to be the primary goal of India. Tilak is also known as the forerunner of Gandhi because of his methods and ideals. Now, what were his methods and ideals? First, he spoke about Swaraj and was keen to Gandhi's idea of complete independence. Much later, when Gandhi came and led the way for the mass movement, became a famous face, Gandhi spoke about nothing less than complete independence, or what Tilak had stated as Swarajya. Like Gandhi, Tilak too sought close contact with the masses, and thirdly, Tilak preached the idea of Swadeshi, boycott and prohibition, which were also preached and followed by Gandhi. So the three programs that he included into the mass movement, that of Swadeshi, boycott and prohibition, were primarily taken up by Gandhi as well to mobilize the masses in the movement. So can you tell me who was known as the forerunner of Gandhi? Was it Lala Lajpat Rai, Balgangada Tilak, or Bipin Chandra Pal? The correct answer will be Balgangada Tilak. The next phase that also was a prominent phase in the assertive nationalist phase was that of Bipin Chandra Pal. Bipin Chandra Pal, often known as the father of revolutionary thoughts in India, not only led the assertive nationalist movement in India, but also was somebody who looked at the factor that India could only achieve the goals set by the assertive nationalists when it had dealt with the maladies of the society. So the contributions of Bipin Chandra Pal can be looked at in a more holistic manner. We see that Bipin Chandra Pal spread his ideas as a journalist through the Tribune, New India and Bengal Public Opinion, which were all very famous newspapers at that point of time. He instilled in the youth this concept of self-confidence, and also inspired the youth to come forward and join the movement. So he inspired the young nationalists to develop an aggressive stance while demanding their rights from the British. So the entire idea was that the Indians should no more beg in front of the British. So we see that Bipin Chandra Pal's commitment to the national cause extended beyond the political scene. Like we were discussing about the fact that he was the one who established the idea that if a society is filled with social evils, then that society won't be able to focus on the political upheaval. So in order to deal with the politics, the society will need to deal with the social constraints as well. So we see that he embraced all aspects of life, and his ideas extended far beyond the political scene. He campaigned for eradicating caste-based discrimination, widow remarriage, and upliftment of women. So he was a supporter of widow remarriage and empowerment of women, because he was, as other leaders also, he felt that without the Indian women, there was no nationalist movement that could go forward. We see that he was committed to the ideas of Swadeshi and boycott of foreign goods, for establishing socio-economic equity by increasing taxes on the rich and ensuring proper conditions for workers. So not only upliftment of the women, but also upliftment of all classes and distribution of profit in an equitable way. One of the famous faces of Punjab who led the way in assertive nationalism was that of Lala Lajpat Rai. Often known as the Sher-e Punjab or Punjab Kesari, Lala Lajpat Rai not only changed the face of nationalism, but also brought in youth to participate in the larger movement to make it much more stronger. So we see Lala Lajpat Rai, also known as Punjab Kesari and Sher-e Punjab, establish such movements which involved in making the nationalist effort grow. So the first thing that he established was the Hindu Relief Movement in 1897 that was focused to help the farmers affected by the famines. Second was the Servants of the People Society in 1921, which worked for freedom movement as well as the social reform movement of the country. So then ideally, we see that Lala Lajpat Rai's focus, like Bipin Chandra Pal, was not only on the growth of nationalist movement, but also to change the societal structure as well. He also tried to secure the involvement of the working classes in the nationalist movement. So he was the one actually among the leaders. He was one of the first to actually relate capitalism with imperialism, and keeping that in mind, he included the working class into the movement and established several hospitals, schools and orphanages for the public. So we see that Lala Lajpat Rai, while in his mission of social upheaval, established several schools and colleges for the young students. And he was deeply associated with the Arya Samaj movement and led the foundation of DAV College in Punjab. Now, Lala Lajpat Rai went ahead and moved abroad to America around 1916 and led himself to join the Ghadar Party. Now, the Ghadar Party in America was working to garner support from the international scene for the nationalist movement back in India. So, after he joined the Ghadar Party in America, he was trying to mobilize opinion for the end of British rule in India. He was honored for his activities by the Hindustan Association of America with a banquet in his name. So we can understand that Lala Lajpat Rai had almost become, the face of Ghadar Party at that point of time. So while Lala Lajpat Rai had been working for the nationalist movement to grow, he also wrote a book called Young India to inspire the youth about the attainment of Swaraj and criticized British rule. So the entire idea of the growing assertive nationalist movement was to inform more and more people about it and to include all of the people of India into the movement, from the common masses to the working class to women to the youth. So let's quickly take a look at the contributions of Lala Lajpat Rai. Firstly, he spread his ideas through newspapers like the Punjabi, Vande Mataram and The People, through various publications like The Political Future of India, England's Debt to India and The Call to Young India. So we see that Lala Lajpat Rai was also associated with several newspapers like Tilak and Bipin Chandra Pal, and helped to mobilize their ideas and thoughts through these newspapers. So his ideas on reforming the flawed educational setup was reflected in his book, The Problem of National Education in India. As you can see, this is a copy of the same book written by Lala Lajpat Rai. The face of assertive nationalism was Lala Lajpat Rai, Balgangada Tilak and Bipin Chandra Pal. They were not only victorious in bringing the masses into the national movement, which made the national movement grow, but also were in fact able to make the women join the movement, and the youth who were necessary for the movement to grow strength to strength also joined in with the efforts of Tilak, Rai and Bipin Chandra Pal. So we see assertive nationalism made the national movement grow, in a sense that now national movement had garnered much more confidence, where the Indians were no more begging for their rights but were in the phase of attaining it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly, learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it is rewarding too. So register for free now.